Hey everyone, if you're an entrepreneur who has trouble setting boundaries, you're going to love my interview today with Tiphany Kane. Welcome back to my channel, entrepreneurs. I'm thrilled you're here to watch another video in my Entrepreneurs Who Work From Home series. You know, in this series, I interview inspiring entrepreneurs from around the world who, just like you, are building their businesses one day at a time. So before we dive in, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm getting close to 500, so I would appreciate you subscribing, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an episode, especially if you're looking for real life strategies from fellow entrepreneurs. So today's guest is Tiphany Kane, and Tiphany is the CEO and co-founder of Casa Media Productions, where she brings her passion for the art of the spoken word to people with powerful stories to tell. So she is currently building a Dolby Atmos sound studio in Orange County, California, for high quality recording and post-production video. And as a multi-podcast host herself, Tiphany has been featured in top publications like Shout Out LA Magazine, Voyager LA Magazine, and Women Who Podcast Magazine. What you love about this interview is what I found very intriguing. Number one, she sets amazing boundaries for herself. You know, she creates a structure that helps her manage her ADHD symptoms. I actually took notes on this for myself. You know, you'll learn the unique way she leverages AI and note-taking to enhance her workflow, and delegation, which is so important as entrepreneurs. Her words were, find your tribe of people that will work within your budget. So pay attention to that. There's lots of ways that you can delegate even if you can't afford it. And I want you to listen closely to her goal-setting process. Her practical takeaways will really help you stay on track. This interview is packed with insights and actionable tips for entrepreneurs just like you. So let's dive in. Hey, Tiphany, welcome to my series on interviewing entrepreneurs who work from home. I'm so excited that you're here.
Gale, I was absolutely thrilled when you reached out and invited me to be on your show. So thank you for having me here.
Great. Well, you know, we've been friends a long time, and I've been following your trajectory with your business, and I'd love you to share with us. Let's just kick this off with your daily routine. What does that look like for you in your business? And I know you've got a great answer here.
Okay, so I am... the word routine is an interesting concept. I am an ADHD entrepreneur, which means that routines are challenging, and I have to find what works for me. And when I get really stressed, routines fall apart. But also when I get really stressed is when you need more routine. So it's an interesting challenge. And so anybody here listening that is in this same place, just know I feel you. I feel your pain. There's a few things that I set up to kind of protect my mental health with, as far as it goes with routines. I do not open my calendar up until 10 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. So this allows me, my brain doesn't work super great in the morning. I'm a little grumpy. I'm a little frazzled. We're getting kids off to school and you know, I need some time to get ready, and it gives me a chance to check emails and all of that kind of stuff. So my calendar is protected till 10 a.m. I make a few exceptions here and there, but in general, it's protected. And that's been one of the best things that I've done. The other thing I do is I do not work after dinner. Right. Yeah. So once we've made dinner, I don't work anymore. As an entrepreneur, it is very easy to work 24/7. I don't mind working 7 days a week. That doesn't bother me. I'm fine with that. But I have found that if I don't shut off after dinner and fully relax and be there with my family, I don't sleep well. My stress level rises. So I would say, as far as routine goes, those are like my two really key pieces of my routine. And in the middle, it's who the heck knows, every day looks different.
Exactly. But, you know, I love that. I think you basically set yourself some boundaries.
Yes.
And I think, you know, those are good boundaries, right? And I think that's really important for entrepreneurs to know, is that we can get so moved into so many different directions. And I think knowing that for yourself is really, really important. So I'm so glad you shared that with us. And so work us into your office setup. How, and I know you're working on some big projects right now. So tell us a little bit about that too.
Okay. So office setup, we're in a little 1,200 square foot townhome in Southern California.
Yeah.
So, space is limited here, and we do what we can in our tiny amount of space. So 1,200 square feet, and we have 2 office spaces in our 1,200 square feet because my partner and I are business partners, and 2 children. So
Yeah.
it's tight. So me right now, I'm in my living room, fireplace right here. Sliding glass doors behind me, but we've got it set up, got my little webcam, got my mic, got it set up. And same thing, we have a setup in the bedroom for that. But we are building a studio. We do audio production and video production, and we're building a studio, 5,500 square foot studio. So very soon, I'm actually going to be having some dedicated office space, and I'm really excited about that because I think my ADHD goes a little crazy at home. There's so much to do at home. I'm excited about going somewhere and being able to just really focus and be like, this is my work time, not dishes, laundry, whatever else there is.
All those things that are calling us while we're sitting here, right?
Yeah, and they do. Just constant.
I do feel that it is possible. Look, like you've managed in these small spaces.
Yep.
And I talk to so many entrepreneurs who are the same. I mean, it's lovely if you do have a dedicated space. And I think what you've done is really you've figured it out. You've created, because you live in a smaller, home, you figured out that, having a wonderful studio, what it's going to do for your business is amazing, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's next level. Like that's a whole nother conversation. But we've worked out of our home for quite a while, and it's tight. But at one point we even had a video production studio over here. We covered one of our windows, put video, photography paper in front of it. We had our video camera set up in the kitchen. You make it work, and we've made it work for a long time, and I'm excited to kind of stretch my wings now. But yep, it's doable. It's doable.
Yeah, that's what I think is, and that's what I'm finding when I'm interviewing so many entrepreneurs around the world, that everybody, some people start off in a big space, some people start off in their bedroom in a tiny space, but it doesn't stop you from being an entrepreneur. And that's what I love about it. It's just how you feel when you set up the space for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about how you work with time management. How do you stay on top of your schedule? And, how do you know you're making the right decisions, and all of that we do as entrepreneurs in our business?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So again, I'm going to put the caveat in ADHD. So schedules are actually important. I joke that my favorite assistant is Calendly. So that calendar app, she sends me reminders. She sends my people I'm meeting with reminders, and I'm very, very happy with Calendly. So that's like my number one. I got that early on in entrepreneurship, and it, oh my God, saved me so much. And if it's not on my calendar, I often forget about it. So very, very thankful. Calendar app, number one for schedule, must have. My other thing is my iPad is over there, but I take notes on my iPad. I'm an avid note taker. Yeah. If I write it down, I tend to remember it better, and I tend to pay attention to what's happening better. So even though I might have an AI note taker, I will still write down the notes, and I will write down a to-do list for myself. Very satisfying to mark things off a to-do list.
Yes.
And sometimes I will put things on the to-do list I got done just so I can mark them off. Hey. Yeah. I'm not against. I
hear you.
Those would be. You're one of those people too. So those are my big things, is a good to-do list that I can mark off. And I found that if I make my to-do list kind of a running one, that here's all I want to get done in these next 2 months. And then I kind of break it down into smaller bits. I need the big picture, and then I need the small picture. So that's what works for me. Calendar, a good to-do list, and just constantly taking notes.
Any other apps that you use?
Well, I mean, AI note takers are amazing.
Yeah.
Zoom now has a great AI note taker, and read.com or read.ai,
Yeah.
great app note taker. So those are terrific. I highly recommend both of those, and that helps a lot. But again, for me, it's truly
Writing it down.
I'm old school, like I'm 51 years old. Taking notes just works the best for me.
You're a girl after my own heart. I'm the same way.
AI is great. I'm not against AI, but there's nothing like taking your own notes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But do you use, like in your business, do you use video editing tools and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is going to be, I'm not a video editor. So
Right.
I have a team for that. My partner is a video editor. We have a team for that. Yes,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of helpful AI tools.
Yeah.
There's this one, we have a client we're editing videos for, and they tend to read from a script a lot. And so their eyes are often down at their computer, and they don't like it. And so they've asked us to use an AI that redirects their eyes. And a lot of those are weird, but we found one that's not quite as weird. And so like even little things like it'll redirect the eyes to make them look like they're up,
Wow.
up and center and looking at you.
Wow.
Like a de-gaze type of idea, eye redirect or something along those lines. But yeah, we use them a lot in audio and video editing. There's some great AI editors that just make the process smoother and quicker and allow us to get more done more efficiently. So yeah, I mean, we've embraced AI, and I personally I did a research project the other day. We're launching an app. And so I did some research on kind of what would be like market research, basically. And I started at chat, and I, just started Chat GPT and asked a research question, and it pulled up all these resources. And so then I clicked on those resources to dive deeper in my research, and then those sent me on my way. But it took what would have been a couple days of research, and I put it down in a couple hours because it got me started, So AI, there's scary things about AI for sure, but there's some really wonderful things that can help us as entrepreneurs.
Yeah. No, it's very true. And yeah, I hear you. But it is amazing how it's changing the world, which is, it's fascinating and sometimes scary, but it's mostly fascinating. Right? Yeah. And so you mentioned your team. And so I like to talk with entrepreneurs about delegation, because I think it's one of the biggest areas of being an entrepreneur where we think we can do it all, but we have to learn how to delegate. And any tips on that for other entrepreneurs that you want to share?
Yeah. And this is coming from a bootstrapper and a person who has a very hard time, letting go of control.
Right.
So big lessons are find your tribe of people that will work within your budget, right?
Yeah.
Budgets are a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a team that has made all of the difference, and we've been able to figure out budget-wise. For instance, one of our team members that came on, she's the CFO of our company now. She actually invested in the company. So we're not paying her yet. We invested, she's paying us to be part of the company.
Wow.
And part of that investment was she invested, it was time and money that she invested in the company.
Right.
And it's been a game changer to have somebody because a lot of times entrepreneurs, we don't know anything about bookkeeping. We don't know anything about setting up for our finances, how to optimize your finances,
Taxes.
taxes. And she's brilliant. And she took 3 years of messy books and she's cleaned them up. And, once you have a good picture of your finances, even if it's a scary picture, you're able to make better decisions. And, we'd been just kind of going decision by decision and like, okay, well, we'll just make it to this next point. We'll just make it to this next point. We'll just make it to this next point without having a ton of future projections. And she's come in and been able to give us projections, and we're able to make better decisions based on that. So that to me has been one of the biggest things. Now you may not always be able to find an investor in a small company, right? You may not be able to do that.
Right.
There's ways to find people, maybe you're trading services, maybe you're, there's ways to find people that work within your budget that bring in an expertise you don't have that can be part of your team.
Right. And I think it's understanding that and knowing that you really need to do that when you're at a point in your business and finding that person. And as you said, it's just a matter of figuring it out and then working on it. But I think delegation is one of the most important areas as an entrepreneur. So that is great advice. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. Let's move into, because I know you're a great connector. You and I connected a long time ago and it was like magic, So how do you stay connected looking at new clients, and what kind of networking do you do?
Networking is key. Networking is everything. Networking is vital.
Yeah.
And this is something, it hasn't always been easy for me. Yeah. I come from a world I was in public education before, and so you're in your little classroom, you're in your little school. Even when I moved up to district office, like I was in my little department, I didn't have to network a lot, right? And it wasn't something I had to do. And I have kind of a lot of social anxiety, it kind of comes with the ADHD territory. And so I've had to really make myself network, really put myself out there, really try hard. And again, I put boundaries for myself around that of like, okay, I'm going to go to this for 2 hours and I'm going to get this many business cards. I'm going to talk to this many people. I might practice it ahead of time, have goals ahead of time. But my main goal always when I go to any kind of conference, networking event or whatever is an authentic connection with somebody.
Right.
I do not want to go into a situation feeling transactional. Will you be my next client? I ever want that. I just want it to be, I want to learn about you. What do you do? Right. And, some really interesting collaborations have come from that, interesting work. And I will tell you right now, every bit of work we have ever gotten has come from some sort of networking. Yeah. I haven't gotten anything out of doing Facebook ads or Google ads or social media posts or any of that. It's all been word of mouth networking. I just booked a $24,000 job from someone in my network telling somebody else, this is the company you should work for. She didn't, I sent her a proposal. She didn't even ask anything. She's like, okay, we'll go through it. Let me off. It was the easiest sale I've ever made. And it was literally because, because I had a relationship with this one person. This one person said, this is who you need to work with.
Yeah. It is the way of the world. And I really believe, but it is so important that you do. Do you attend weekly or monthly networking groups, or are you online, or how does that work for you?
Yes, actually, we have started one of our own networking group, which is really cool. And we've had a couple iterations of this, right, throughout my entrepreneurship. The first one we started was an online, and then we moved into meetups, and now we're starting more of a professional organization for people that own audio studios. But I've always being somebody with anxiety, if I'm the one organizing it, then I do a little bit better. So that's one thing is organizing it and finding the people and bringing them to me. The other thing is going to conferences. Conferences are amazing if you go with the goal of, I want to meet people, I want to talk to people, I want to learn about people, I want to connect with people. That's really, really big. Conferences are huge. And then we do have some local networking events that we go to. Right. And I really like finding the right networking event and sponsoring it, because then you're at a table, a booth, and people come and talk to you and you get to learn more. That's really good.
That's excellent advice. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're able to sponsor, and a lot, like one of our little networking groups, it's $300, to sponsor. So it's not a huge
Right. Right.
ask. And
Yeah.
so then, we can do that. And we're not going to necessarily do that every month, but we might find a couple key times we want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice. I love that. I think for people that are watching today, that it's so important. Networking is part of being an entrepreneur and getting out there and meeting people.
Yes.
And even online, but sometimes that face-to-face makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. Really, really does. Yeah. And like I said, if you can't find what you want, start one, and then find people that are kind of adjacent or similar and meet and like combine forces. So one of our networking groups we had was called Golden State Podcasters for independent podcasters. Mm-hmm. Well, we're in Orange County, California. Right. And in Los Angeles, there's LA podcasters. And so we, for about a year, would combine forces, and when LA podcasters would do a meetup, we would promote theirs and have our people come to that. And then we would all meet together. And then when we had a meetup, they would promote it to their people and we'd come together. And so you are kind of mixing and groups together and working out really, it's nice because your people get to meet their people and then you get to come together. And then the organizers, obviously, we're friends, we're collaborators, because we reached out to them and said, hey, you've got this group, we've got this group, let's do something together. And it was fantastic, So I highly recommend doing that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think if you're in that position, it's really good to start your own networking group. I started one years ago, and I know it was very beneficial. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what kind of challenges do you face as an entrepreneur? Distractions, what motivation dips? What is it that?
How much time do we have? How much time do we have to talk about that? I will tell you a little story that I think epitomizes how I make it through the challenges. We're building a studio, and the studio is 5,500 square feet, 9 rooms, and it just seems like an insurmountable project. Like every phase of the project almost seems insurmountable. We did the demolition ourselves. We did a ton of the work we're doing ourselves. We do have a contractor. There's challenges. I'm not going to get into that. But my point is, every phase of this project has seemed overwhelming and insurmountable. And like, how are we going to get this done? And we take it piece by piece, and eventually it gets done. We might be sweaty. We might be sore. We might be, I have a scar on my arm from demolition, getting scratched. I've got bad arthritis in my hands from yesterday we were drywalling thousands and thousands of nails. So like my hands are swollen and sore, but it doesn't matter because it gets done. Right. Yeah. And so that's kind of every challenge. I think we all have common challenges, right? Whether it's, where's my next dollar going to come from? Where's my next client going to come from? I can't pay attention. My mind is everywhere. I'm stressed. I'm stress eating. I can't get my exercise in. I need to get in. I'm not spending enough time with my family. I'm not getting the things accomplished that I want. I think every entrepreneur has very similar challenges. And my list, it's 3 miles long. Mine is as long as everybody else's, but I just kind of keep that thing in mind of like, just one foot in front of the other. It's going to get done. We'll just keep going. And also leaning on people, like, who can help me with this? Right. Do I need to talk to a doctor? Do I need help? Sometimes you need a little bit of medical help. And I did, like, this studio build is so beyond stressful that yes, I ended up needing some medical help, and like, my anxiety was through the roof and I just need a little bit of medical help. Let me get through this because I'm having a hard time. And just knowing when to say I need help and going to those people and getting that help is vital, and just never giving up. Like, don't give, you may need to pivot, you may need to change course, but just don't give up.
Yeah. And I know I've been following you. You've been sharing on your lives, and I love that. I'm following you on social media. Is each, seeing you smash that wall in, and now you've got a wall that's got a drywall on it and all that stuff. It's fascinating.
It's been a thing. It's been the most fun I've ever had and the most stress I've ever been on. Like I building a studio, like physically building a studio and bootstrapping it is a stress like you've never experienced. I mean, when there's money, you can pay people to take care of things.
Right.
When it's not money.
Yeah.
So many, like, if you have money, mountains are just molehills. When you don't have money, it's Mount Everest, right? And it's like, how are we going to get this done? Yeah. We have to both be bringing in work and doing work and building this thing. And
well, my hat's off to you. My hat's off to you guys. You're doing a great job. Was this a goal that you guys had? I mean, do you have a goal setting process that you work with in your business?
Yes. Funny story. I just pulled out my business plan to revamp it and revise it. And I realized that we started this business plan. We wrote this business plan in October of 2022.
Wow.
And met with our business mentor, who's now the investor and CFO in our company. But we met with her back then and showed her our business plan. And we had a 5-year plan. And in year 5 was building a studio, right? And she said, hey, this thing that you want to do, this building the studio, is this going to make you money? Like, yeah. Is this going to be fun? Yeah. Are you going to enjoy it? Yeah. Okay, do it now. And so we were like, really? Because we don't have money saved for it. Like, we literally, our business started in 2021. We're like, we're a new business. We don't have money saved for it. We don't really, like, when you're that young, you don't have credit. You don't have, right? Like, how are we going to get funding? How are we going to get money for this? She's like, don't worry. It'll all work out. We'll figure it out. Let's figure it out together. Go for it. And so we went for it. And here we are. It's, a year and a half later, and we're building it. It's happening. The funding, we got an SBA loan, which was a very long, very difficult process, but we did get an SBA loan. Yeah. I closed out my retirement accounts and that money. And then we've had a few friends and family investors that have invested in allowing us to build this studio. I don't remember what your original question was.
We were talking about goal setting process.
Goal setting. But yes, it's very important to have goal setting. And so what we do, a business plan is part of it.
Yeah.
CFO with financial projections is part of it.
Right.
We have a big, hairy, audacious goal, BHAG.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, what's our big, hairy, audacious goal?
Right. And you're actually doing that right now.
Well, we have an even bigger one from 10 years from now. Of,
wow.
What's going to happen. Right. And so we're working towards that. But yes, setting goals is very important. And what my partner and I were business partners and life partners. Right.
Right.
And what we started doing was every Friday morning, blocking off the calendar from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And we have a business meeting. Yeah. And we talk business, and we have an agenda, and we talk business, right? Yeah. And we set, how did this week go? What's coming up next week? What are our goals and all of that? Right. It's been a little up in the air since we've been building the studio. Like, that's kind of hard to get that sit down time, but that's been our practice. And
I love that.
Super helpful.
Yeah. Super helpful. Even if you're a solopreneur, you could do that. You sit down once a week and do that with yourself, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I recommend, even if you're a solopreneur, have somebody you're meeting with. Yeah. That helps you with that.
Yeah.
Whether maybe it's a business coach that you meet with once a month. Maybe it's just a friend that's an entrepreneur that you guys can
It could
Gonna
be
be
a
your own
yeah.
mastermind together, right? Like you can.
Right, exactly. Actually, I do that with a mastermind friend once a month myself. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There's just something about having somebody to
Yeah.
do things
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. So now your world is all about video and audio and podcasting. And so how do you continue to grow? What do you do as, for your own professional development? How do you continue to grow? Because as entrepreneurs, the world's changing very fast and we have to keep up.
Yep. Yep.
So what do you do?
There's a few things that I really like doing. I really like going to conferences, selecting a conference, a couple a year that we go to where we can learn and just be in the hub of all the new stuff. We make an effort, being that we're networking people,
Right.
we enjoy networking with people. We make an effort to go to people's studios and visit them. We're going to one next week. Somebody just opened a new studio. We do not view other studios as competition. We view them as potential collaborators, potential business referrals. We all specialize in different areas. So we make it a point of if somebody is building a studio or has a studio we admire, oh, we really like it. Let's get together. Want to see, let's talk about what we're doing. We're building this association of studio owners. So this is a thing. I lost track of the question again.
Tell you about professional development.
Professional development. Oh my God. ADHD brain. I am on it this morning. I'm sorry. We were up super late last night working on the studio and I'm on like 3 hours of sleep.
Just having fun. And I know that people who are watching this are going, feeling like you're feeling, okay? Because we're really getting into stuff here.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I think my big thing is just what works for you. For some people, it's being part of like a mastermind or a masterclass or something like that. Like what works for you? For me, and in the beginning, I did take some classes and was part of some entrepreneur groups. I find now I need to be a little bit more targeted with that and a little more systematic. And so it's more kind of one-on-one grassroots or going to conferences. I do lots of research.
Yeah.
I kind of read up on things a lot. And I love LinkedIn because a lot of the people I follow.
Yeah, I think the target market, I think looking at where you need to learn, and figuring it out is because, in your instance, it's all about your studios and your video and your podcasting and all of that you do, right? And so would you have, this is a question I wanted to ask you, and I ask to all entrepreneurs, is there any kind of one piece of advice that you would like to share with fellow entrepreneurs? What would it be? What would you think it would be?
Oh my gosh. I used to answer this differently, but I think most pertinent for me right now is don't say no before somebody else does, right? Like don't choose the no for somebody else.
Right.
So I'm in a place where like we're looking for investors.
Right.
And it's a scary place, like putting yourself out there and having to share your financials and answer their questions on your business. And it's a big, giant place of rejection, right? Like most people are going to say no. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to say, well, I can't reach out to that person. They're going to say no. And I can't reach out to that person. They're going to say no. But I can't make that decision for them. Let them say no. It's always a no if you don't ask. But there's a time it could be a yes.
I love what you said. If it's, always a no unless you ask.
Yes. Right? And it's not fair to make that decision for somebody else.
Right. Exactly.
Let them make the decision. It may be a no, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it may be a yes, or maybe a maybe, or maybe a have you thought of, So
maybe someone who's watching this today they'll understand that and make that a priority in their business. I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
It's been a huge lesson for me. Huge lesson.
Okay, so self-care. We're entrepreneurs. We have to take care of ourselves. And I know you are one of those people that does that. So what is your favorite way to take care of you?
Well, when I've got money, there's all kinds of, I like spa treatments. I like getting my hair done. I like getting my lashes done. I like getting my nails done. As you can see, I have no lashes, no nails. I haven't had my hair done in like 8 months. So when money is tight and resources are, in your business 100%, self-care looks more like getting that medical attention if you need medical attention, right? Like finally allowing myself to go on medication for my anxiety, that is absolute self-care for me and for my family, because it's not fair for my family to get the worst parts of me, right? So that was big self-care, is finally reaching out to medical establishments saying I need help. Other self-care, again, like putting those boundaries on my calendar and knowing that if I work past dinner time, my brain is going to be an anxiety ball mess and I will not sleep. And then that's a whole avalanche of problems that come from not sleeping. And so that is self-care, of prioritizing sleep and prioritizing that calmness, that peace of mind. Exercise as well. And so that's part of my don't start work. It's not that I don't start work till 10, it's I don't start meetings till 10, but that gives me time in the morning to get some sort of exercise in, because my brain works better, my body works better if I'm doing some form of exercise. So those are a few of the things that I'm doing for self-care that are really important. And, family time is just really important, whether it's sitting on the couch and watching a show, or it's going for a walk, or it's, whatever little family time thing that we can do. Right. That's also self-care, because that fills your bucket.
Yeah. I love it. I think that's such great advice for people who are watching this today. So now I want to hear all about you and your business. Tell us where we can, tell people where they can connect with you. Tell us what you're up to with this wonderful new studio that you're building. Tell us about your podcast, if you have any free resources, and we will be putting all of that in the description below here. But share with us a little bit more about you and your business.
Well, my two places where I'm most active are LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm Tiphany Kane in both places, Tiphany with a PH, Kane with a K. Yeah. So Tiphany Kane in both places, Instagram, LinkedIn. Instagram, I do a lot of lives from the studio, so you can kind of keep up with what's going on. And LinkedIn is a little more business focused, Instagram a little more personal focused. But those are my two where I'm most active. Don't have any freebies right now because we're building this darn studio. But that's you can kind of keep up with me. I have a newsletter that I do over on LinkedIn called Raise the Volume. And it talks about immersive audio, which is the Dolby Atmos, which is the type of studio we're building. And so it goes into that topics related to immersive audio. So those are kind of my big things and ways to reach me and stay connected with me. So, and I love when people reach out, DM me.
Right.
I like talking to people.
And once the studio is built, where do you go from there? What will you be doing in the studio?
Wonderful things. We have a couple of key spots in the studio. So when you walk in the studio, there's 1,000 square feet that we have dedicated to training, education, and meetup space.
Wow.
It's a big open space. We'll have an LED wall so that people can, their slideshows or movies or whatever can be up on that space. It's also set up for Dolby Atmos sound, so people can play that back. We're going to have an internship program so we can train people. I'm very passionate about women, people of color, getting more opportunity being in this environment. Audio and video tends to be very male dominated. Right. And I want to get more women in that.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So it's all about that. We're going to do at the very least monthly training sessions in there, bringing in our partners, Dolby, Focusrite, and people like that. I have a friend who has she works on video games, and she's starting a women's group for video game developers. They're going to be meeting up in there, which is great. I'm very excited about that. So we've got that space. In the very back of the studio, we have a virtual production studio that also is an LED wall. And that is, like, if you've ever saw The Mandalorian, like, it's filmed in a virtual production space with an LED wall. So that's what we can do back there. It's 1,000 square feet back there. And then in between, we have 3 Dolby Atmos mixing stages. So we can mix that audio. And we have a couple voiceover booths. One of them is larger, so we can fit 4 to 6 people in there. So a group of people can be in. And we will be doing mixing and production. One of our mixing spaces is a Dolby Theatrical. It'll soon to be certified Dolby Theatrical. And so we're going to be able to work on movies and all of that good stuff. And we're getting something called TPN certified with the Motion Picture Association, which means Trusted Partner Network. And that means that we're a highly secure facility, so we can work on movies. They have very high security standards, Marvel, Disney, and all of that. And so we'll be a very highly secure, rated space so that we can work on all of that stuff.
I can see your 10-year plan. Okay. You just shared with me your 10-year plan.
Yeah. Well, expansion is in that plan. We're going to be, in 3 years, we have the goal of expanding and building another location, and then a goal of selling it in 10 years.
It's just so fascinating and so exciting, Tiphany. Thank you so much today for sharing all of this. And as I said, we will put your information in the description below so that people can connect with you. And I know you are a great connector because, as we have been connected on and off for a long time, but that connection has never wavered. There's always been that connection with us right there. So I want to thank you so much. You've shared so much information that's going to help so many entrepreneurs after they watch this one today.
Gale, thank you. Thank you for being so sweet with my mind wandering and and all of that. You're amazing. You're wonderful. And I'm so glad we stayed connected.
Thank you. Do you have a big, hairy, audacious goal like Tiphany? It's incredible to see her 5-year goal nearly complete and how she's already planning for the next 10 years. It's definitely made me rethink my own long-term goals. And in a world where so much networking happens online today, attending conferences, as Tiphany suggests, can really be a game changer for professional growth. And it's a great reminder to step out from behind the screen and just make those meaningful in-person connections, or as she says, authentic connections. Another great takeaway I had was having those weekly check-ins with a business partner or a mastermind group just to bounce around ideas. And if you're not doing that yet, it might be time to start. And I just loved her special advice for entrepreneurs. Don't choose the no for somebody else. In other words, don't assume someone will say no before you even reach out to them. You always say, I'll make that call, but she's going to say no. I'm sure she's going to say no. You just never know what opportunities could come your way. That's why it's so important to not assume. So, which of these insights resonated with you the most? I want you to hit reply and let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.